Hello, welcome. I'm so excited today to chat about our upcoming Reconnect and Renew Women's Midlife Wellness Retreat this year. As some of you may already know, this retreat is offered by myself and Freya Bennett Overstall from Maitri Studio to be held in Byron Bay hinterland in the magic sacred Bundjalung country from October the 11th to the 14th, 2025. And I am so honoured that Louise, you are available to collaborate, that you are bringing your gifts and your amazing expertise working with women, especially around menopause and midlife, and your phenomenal background from public health, from clinical side, and what we can share with the women that will be entering that beautiful container with us.
Well, hi, Amy. It's an absolute pleasure to be chatting with you this afternoon. And I am very much looking forward to what I know we are going to be bringing to the women attending the retreat. It's just going to be an absolutely amazing experience that's going to be full of insights, and it's an opportunity to look at things a little differently, especially as we get into our midlife journey, right?
Yeah, what you're sharing is so relevant. We traverse our journey as women through that early period of our lives, and then we hit matrescence, and then suddenly post matrescence, we're hitting menopause or starting to go through that transition. And midlife is something I feel, and you and I have spoken about a number of times, it's an area of life that we really didn't get a lot of insight from perhaps our mothers or our grandmothers. So I'm really interested to know if you can share a little bit about your journey, particularly in your work with women, and how that's intersected with menopause, and perhaps even how that's intersected with your own experience of menopause.
Sure. So let me give a little bit of background about me. My journey into women's health, and particularly into menopause wellness, has grown certainly from both a personal experience and also professional insight. I was a registered nurse for 30 years, and I worked across the board from intensive care to reproductive health. And now, as a holistic wellness facilitator, I have had the opportunity to speak with many, many women about their menopause journey. And what I have heard and what I have seen from many women is that they feel unsupported, they feel misunderstood, they are overwhelmed during perimenopause and menopause. And that was also my experience as a maturing woman navigating my own menopause transition when I entered into my own journey. And even as a healthcare professional working in the field of women's health, I quickly realized that women weren't looking just for medical advice. They were seeking a holistic support, emotionally, mentally, energetically, and physically. And that's where I saw a huge gap in the healthcare system as it stands. Now, menopause, it's not just a biological transition, and it's definitely not a medical problem to fix. It's a natural transformation, and it's a powerful opportunity for growth and for renewal and for self-reconnection, right? And I think that is something that is not recognized readily. It's certainly not something that we're talking about either. So you mentioned about opening up the conversation, and I really do feel that we're not having that conversation with each other. We certainly were not having it with our mothers, and we're not having it with our daughters either. And I think it is so important for us to like you say, open up that conversation and just get it started and be honest and open about it. And it is a beautiful transition that we experience in our lives. It's not just the shutdown of our reproductive years. It's us transforming into the next chapter, into our embracing our wisdom and embracing our new roles and our new identity as we transition from our reproductive years into our menopause years. And it's actually a real honor to have that opportunity to be able to experience that. And I really feel that our experience is not the same as what our mothers or grandmothers' experience has been. And part of that is because I feel that we have been a guinea pig generation for many changes that have
Yes.
happened with
Yes.
medications, with food, with careers, with children, the way that we're bringing up children, and just the general environment. There's so much more environmental stressors and much more noise and chaos that we are experiencing every day. And that has a profound impact on how we then transition into our menopause years. And it's getting that conversation started, and also allowing ourselves to actually tap into this feminine energy as well that we have inside of us. I think we are pushed so much we're so driven to be running the home and to be driving a career or building a business and taking care of the kids and taking care of even parents. And some of us, we're becoming grandparents as well. And this drives us into our masculine energy because we've got to get things done, and we become doers, and we're great at getting things done. And what we're missing then is actually coming back to being, and coming back to ourselves, and reconnecting with who we are and what we want and who we're becoming. What is that next step? What is that next chapter going to look like as our roles and our responsibilities and our identities change? So that's something that I became extremely interested in hearing about what other women's experiences were, because I was entering into my own experience. And at that time, I was working in women's health. So I had that opportunity to talk to many women from diverse backgrounds about what their experiences were. And this is when I came to realize women are looking for a holistic approach rather than a medical fix it, so to speak. That's where I've come to just, first of all, do my own work on reconnecting to myself. And then that's how I've then now brought together both my clinical expertise and blended that with holistic wellness tools, so that to guide women back to feeling empowered, feeling balanced, and feeling vibrant. And my mission is to guide women from feeling powerless to being powerful, so that they can confidently take charge of their own well-being. And connecting with you, Amy, is just such a natural fit, because I feel that we share the same vision in creating a space for women to reconnect, to renew, and to feel deeply nourished at every level. And so coming across each other and our paths meeting was just a perfect natural match. So to be facilitating with you at this retreat is an absolute pleasure and an honor, because it's exactly what, where my heart has led me to be able to serve women in this way.
I totally echo your sentiments, and I am so thankful for the resonance that we share around supporting women, especially, as you mentioned, into the space of safety, into the space of nourishing themselves and reconnecting. And there's a few threads that you've really spoken into, which I very much have found as my own inspiration in creating this retreat with Freya, and also being able to invite your collaboration in, and our beautiful award-winning chef Ronit as well shares very similar resonance with holding space for women to reconnect and renew. Because like you said, it's not about the isolation, it's not about the go do, it's about enabling and allowing a natural transformation to occur, and with that, the access to the portal of wisdom that we hold inherently, each of us as women, yet with the busyness and the overwhelm and the constant stimulation and sympathetic dominance of our world, we do not often get the opportunity to allow that, to embrace, to lean into that. I love that you've called that out today. For us to be able to change over or switch or flow into, surrender into the feminine aspect of ourselves, the feminine energy, the potency of that, and allow that to inform our pathway forward as we reimagine ourselves literally throughout perimenopause and menopause and what happens beyond. In order to do that, we must invite stillness. We must invite a space of retreat, if you like. Midlife is I think if we haven't retreated before, or if we haven't retreated much, midlife is the time to do so, because it's the time of the chrysalis where we're going from one form to another. So allowing ourselves that time to be in chrysalis.
Absolutely. Midlife, especially for women, is such a pivotal time. We're entering into perimenopause and menopause. And like I said, our roles change, our bodies are changing, our priorities are changing, our desires change. Everything changes. That's why it's called the change, right? It's a natural crossroads. And that brings up a time, it's a time of questioning. It's a time of, we said, transformation. And it's redefining who we are and what we want. And it comes at a time of our lives when things around us can be so demanding in our 40s and 50s, right? So we're often managing so much, like we said, there's careers, there's businesses of both, families, aging parents, partners, and all in the midst of all of this, we're shifting identities. We, like you say, we're in the chrysalis and we're emerging out of that. But that transformation, it comes with discomfort, and it comes with challenges, and it comes with all of anything that gets molded from one form to another form. It's not comfortable. It's uncomfortable, right? I think because we tend to hear a lot of negative things about perimenopause and menopause. We're bombarded with it. It's all around us. It's seen, certainly in our Western society, as something that's negative. And yes, it is challenging. And we do need to move through it, because we are on a journey. We're moving from where we are into that next chapter, into that next phase. And because of everything that we have going on around us, that there's so much stimulation and so much demand, we leave so little time for ourselves. And we even end up becoming disconnected from who we really are, right? So this retreat is a space to be able to pause, to be able to step away from the doing and come back to the being, to reconnect with who we're becoming. Who is that woman that we are actually becoming? And it's about tending to our own roots and replenishing our own energy and reigniting our own sense of joy and sense of purpose and possibility, right? It's about being in community as well and connecting with other women who get it. And then you realize that you're not alone. And there is an incredible strength in sharing this journey. So if you ask the question, well, why is it important to come and retreat? And like you said, to retreat and actually pause at this time is for all of those things, right? It's to actually step into the pause for a moment and just allow yourself to be and reconnect with who you are.
I absolutely agree. Love what you're describing there around that opportunity to gift ourselves that spaciousness so that we can really actively participate in this becoming who we are, who we choose to be, after family, after children, after the career. Maybe career's still tracking, but it's also the opportunity to to change, to shape, to reimagine that as well. And so many women do. I've been completing a research project in menopause, in leadership in the workplace, and so many women have described to me how they have come to that perimenopause stage of their 40s and late 40s and even early 50s. And this has brought to them the realization that they want to work differently. They want to experience their career differently. And they also want greater purpose and meaning.
Yeah.
So the opportunity to uncover how that translates for us requires the spaciousness that you're talking to. And I'm fascinated that you've done so much work with women in this area, both in public health, in clinical practice, and also in your own holistic business as well, because that gives such depth of insight to the kaleidoscope that we experience as we are all experiencing very individual journeys around this transformational period. And that coming into community is what supports us to understand how each of our individual unique experiences can contribute to each other's growth and transformation, and gives us an opportunity, I think, to going back to what you first mentioned around opening that conversation with our daughters, with our granddaughters, with the generations that come after us, being able to then model that. If we're not able to come together as women and share that, how do we even model that for our beautiful women that are coming through, the women of the next generation, the next leaders? So I feel that supportive, immersive space of retreating, where you can dive into unpacking transformation and personal growth, reconnecting and renewing and nourishing, that's just so critical in midlife.
Absolutely. And it's about, first of all, it's about empowering yourself, right? But then you then get to share that with the other women who are around you too, right? It's about you. But then it's also being able to then extend that to the other women that are in your life. And it's about that coming together again. And because we've been so separated. And it's about that coming together again and sitting in the circle and
Yes,
connection, right? It's
absolutely.
connection. And like, above everything else, it's having positive, meaningful, connected relationships with people around you is the number one factor that increases your happiness, increases your joy, your longevity.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. The science now that we have around showing the cognitive changes that happen when we are in relationship and we
Yes.
are connecting regularly with those in our lives that we care about,
Yeah.
friends, family, the number of hugs a day, the ability to, as you say, sit in circle, share those important experiences, enjoy dinner and conversation.
Mm.
This is what actually feeds our soul, but also feeds our growth
Yeah.
and enables our longevity with our health and well-being. And most women in our generation, I know myself, yourself, and women that we know in our networks, we're all really focused on how do we actually scaffold our health so that we are able to be around for our daughters and granddaughters, that we can participate fully in that intergenerational transition and experience and really support them into the future. So it becomes a holistic conversation and a holistic mindset around what are the tools and
Mm.
what's the knowledge, what's the science, and also the ancient wisdom that I can lean into and apply to navigate this period of transformation and change throughout midlife. And all of that we're going to be diving into over the retreat, which is
Yeah.
phenomenal. I know you'll be offering some amazing treatments one-on-one for the women who are coming, and they sound absolutely divine. So if you might describe a little bit about the treatments, that would be great for those listening. And also, I'd love us to chat a bit about the menopause in the brain. I know you've already delivered some of these insights to hundreds of women at the Menopause Summit recently in Brisbane, which was so phenomenal. It was such a well-received talk that you gave there.
Thank you, Amy. It was so great to see you there too. And it was so much fun. And the feedback that we had from the women who attended was just phenomenal. What it's highlighted to me and to the other contributors is that we need more of this. We need more of this. This is what we're bringing with this retreat, right? As more of an intimate, closer community feel. But this is exactly what we're bringing to, isn't it? So, yes. So what am I bringing to the retreat? Well, I am going to be bringing my holistic approach to midlife wellness. I'll be integrating my knowledge of menopause, hormonal shifts, emotional well-being, lifestyle changes, and self-care practices. Like you said, Amy, my particular interest is on brain health and how keeping our brain healthy in midlife and menopause, right? Your brain is your greatest asset. It's your greatest asset. Yeah. And it's certainly one of the most experienced symptoms or signs of perimenopause is this noticeable cognitive shifts through the transition, the brain fog, memory lapses, forgetting where you put the keys, those elusive keys that keep getting hidden. It's something that I think the numbers are around about 60% of women experience some kind of cognitive shifts through perimenopause and menopause. And actually, there is a correlation between, so what is menopause brain and what is progressive cognitive decline, right? Because as we enter into midlife as well, women are around 2/3 more likely to develop Alzheimer's than men. We know from research, and particularly the work of Dr. Lisa Mosconi, who is a neuroscientist. She is the author of several books, and she's looked particularly into the female brain quite extensively. And what has been found from much of her research is that menopause plays a great role in this number, like the discrepancy in the numbers. That said, menopause does not lead to progressive cognitive decline necessarily. However, it is a pivotal point, and it's basically, this is the time to be taking care of your brain health. And when you take care of your brain health and your transition, the recalibration and the upgrading process that happens in perimenopause and menopause, when you take care of your brain and support it through that process, then once you get over the other side, then your brain becomes more efficient and you regain clarity and the brain fog fades and things just work much more efficiently. If you don't take care of your brain and you don't support it in this pivotal time, then you could be setting yourself up for progressive cognitive decline in the future. So whether or not you have a genetic predisposition, it's what you choose to do on a daily basis and how you choose to take care of yourself. So what we hear about menopause is we think about the ovaries, right? But it's actually a neurological transition. And like I said, your brain is your greatest asset and your brain is your control center. It's that your brain controls and runs your body. So everything, all of the changes that happen, all of the hormonal changes that happen, it starts in your brain. So this is why my focus comes back to your brain health, particularly. And certainly through my nursing career, and then as I've come out of that and added more holistic tools to my toolbox, I focus a lot more on creating subconscious shifts, helping you to basically to release all the stuff that's no longer serving you, that you don't need to be bringing into menopause, and also to then be able to embed those new healthier behaviors as well. So I work a lot on, I like to call it mind flexibility rather than mindset, right? Because we're not set, we're flexible and we're changing. So working on mind flexibility that's going to support you as well in your transition too. And I will also be bringing a beautiful, beautiful, deeply relaxing and restorative aromatherapy massage that uses just gentle rhythmic touch and therapeutic essential oils to rebalance your nervous system, help to reduce inflammation, and support your emotional reconnection too. And this promotes a profound sense of calm and renewal for you as well. So those are the two things that I will be specifically bringing to the retreat for you.
Oh, amazing. Thank you, Louise, for sharing the details of that. And I jumped in there in my excitement because I wanted to express that I have had the absolute pleasure of experiencing your aroma touch massage, and it was definitely everything that you've described. And it completely reset my nervous system, which was so magical. And I think that's also a great segue to mention I'll be speaking, well, actually, the day before you on the Saturday, I'll be taking the women through a wellbeing workshop on the nervous system and how that relates to menopause. So I feel that your session around the brain and menopause and brain health is going to connect beautifully to the nervous system care, because ultimately it's neurobiology. We're both in the space of dealing with neurobiology and supporting that neurobiology for those key changes within a woman's journey, particularly perimenopause, menopause, and that we're experiencing that from our own lived experience ourselves. So that's quite magical to be able to collaborate with you and share with you in this space. And I know that the women will experience really profound shifts. As you said, mind flexibility. I love that. I do a lot of work with fascia as well as nervous system.
Yeah.
And with fascia, it's all about the mobility, right?
Yeah.
The mobility, movement mobility in our bodies. So it makes so much sense that we would have mind mobility as well, that we would be investing in that, that we would be supporting that as we transition through our life and as we navigate midlife, and the interesting connection that has to your cognitive health in later life as well. So that I'm absolutely fascinated by.
Absolutely. It fascinates me too. I could just
We could talk all day on this topic.
It's absolutely fascinating. And it's actually the process that your brain goes through in perimenopause. It's not the first time it's done it. It actually does it throughout your life. So when you hit puberty, your 13-year-old daughter who you used to be able to hang out with when she was a little girl, and she turns 13 and all of a sudden she doesn't want to be with you anymore and you don't know who she is. Her brain's going through a recalibration and upgrading process as well. And you know that baby brain that you get, it's also a real thing. So it's actually, your brain has done this type of processing before. So it's,
That's quite comforting to know that, like you say, there's a lot of negative press that's in this opening conversation. And I think there's always a range of expression and approach to any topic. But being able to really just acknowledge that, hey, I've done this before. My body, my neurobiology has navigated, as you say, the whole teenage process, navigated matrescence post-birth. That's a huge pre-birth, post-birth, the changes in the brain. And so this is, I'm doing it again. I've done it before. So there is comfort in that, I feel, and a sense of even security when it seems like everything's being thrown out the window because I've lost my keys for the 106th time and I can't speak, I can't find my words, and my brain's foggy and I feel like I just need to sleep all the time. All the things that we go through, and some women don't, but there is still that sense of transitioning, that sense of change, and sort of like maybe in some ways wanting to refine ourselves or reconnect with ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's about learning about what's happening. with you and your body and in your life experience, right? So I mean, midlife changes, they're not just happening to you. They're messages from your body. Your body is asking you for deeper care. So are you listening? Are you listening to what your body's telling you, right? It's not fighting against you. It's actually letting you know that something needs to change. So you're understanding how menopause and midlife affects your body and your emotions and your energy levels, which you've mentioned. It helps you work with your body and your mind too. And that gives you your power back. So when you have the knowledge and the tools to take empowered action, then you can move through midlife with confidence, vitality, and ease instead of being blindsided or stuck. But you need to take the first step. You need to take the first step to empower yourself. And that's what we are there for within the retreat, is to be able to give you the tools so that you can empower yourselves to take the action to optimize your own wellness.
100%. I couldn't have said that any better. And I feel like that's a perfect segue to just inviting all those listening to jump onto the retreat webpage, to have a look, to come join us. Because as you say, Louise, if you're a woman in midlife and you want to listen to your body, you've realized that ignoring those messages from your body only leads you down one path and it's not a positive one. So if you are in midlife as a woman and you're seeking support, you're seeking expert tools, you're seeking the leading information holistically that can help you better care for your well-being throughout this time of change and transformation. And maybe you're ready to become actively involved in your future health. Maybe you're looking at yourself in 20 years and realizing that the decisions I make now are going to influence the health of that woman that I see in myself in 20 years from now. And we look at our mothers often at this time too, and we can see potentially the results of not listening to our bodies, of not being actively involved in our future health, in perhaps just taking the default answers and diagnosis and not necessarily diving into what's out there and the leading science and research that's coming out that can support us in being a lot more proactive and having those options. And we just love you to come and join the supportive immersive space that we're creating at Reconnect and Renew Retreat in October, and all the leading women's wellness information that we'll be offering you, including that body mind nourishment that Louise has shared about today. So we're excited to explore this season of midlife with you. And I know Freya is super excited too, to bring some of the amazing work that she's been doing with women in her Maitri studio in Melbourne. A lot of the women that she works with are in menopause. So I'm hoping that we can jump on and have this conversation with Freya as well soon. So the retreat link I'll pop in the comments below. It's called Reconnect and Renew. It's in Byron Bay in October. Reach out to us in the comments. We've got payment plans available. So if that's what you need, we can definitely support you in that way to be there. And Louise, thank you so much for sharing all your wisdom, insights and experience with everyone listening today. I've learned so much.
Absolutely. Yes, I'm excited. It's just going to be such a beautiful space that we're creating. I can, see it, feel it and touch it already. So I'm very much looking forward to just sharing that with all of you.